You're now listening to the Adiel Gorel Show. Each episode I'll bring you the latest news from my discussions with top health and wellness experts so that you can bring yourself into better health. Today on the Adiel Gorel Show.
Ultimately, what you consume on a daily basis, could be your greatest asset or your greatest detriment. So your health is your most precious asset, and most people add lots of liabilities, if you're getting my drift. And buying organic is not safe enough.
Hi everyone, it's a joy to be here with you today. What a beautiful day. And I'm excited as I have the great Ian Farrar with us. Ian, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Adi. Really great to be here.
All right, so Ian, you've been an inspiration to a lot of people. And in fact, I have to say you are an inspiration to me. You used to be a world-class cyclist, and you're still a very, very active master-level cyclist on a very high level. Mm-hmm. So you're very fit. You look a million years younger than your age. You've been living healthy, and you've been engaged in the wellness industry for decades. So I am here to steal and pillage from your brain good ideas for our viewers, for our listeners. So if you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your background and how you got it and how health is the core focus of everything you do and who you are.
Great. I love to tell this story. I'll tell the short story, but I was a full-time cyclist in my 20s, and I didn't want to go down the path to taking performance-enhancing drugs. A lot of my friends moved from the New York, Connecticut area out to Colorado, and they got involved with a lot of bad things, and some of them got exposed and some didn't. But long story short, I always knew that the foundation to health and performance was with a healthy, natural lifestyle. Now, I grew up in the 70s and 80s. I ate plenty of Burger King and McDonald's and White Castle, and you name it. I always struggled with really bad digestion, but I still performed well because I was in my late teens, 20s, and I could just put anything in my body. So I really woke up to my potential when I started to focus what I put on my plate, because every American today is guaranteed to get your carbohydrate, your fat, and your protein from somewhere. But in the 70s and 80s, we didn't have genetically modified foods. We didn't have the dangers of glyphosate, which is damaging people's microbiome, which is your gut on a daily basis. We didn't have all the artificial colors, flavors, sweeteners in our foods. They had some, but they were actually a lot more natural than what's available to children, teenagers, and adults today. There was no real energy drink. It was just a cup of coffee, and you went on your way. But now there's a lot of glorified stimulants that are really damaging people's bodies. So 27 years ago, I was a full-time cyclist, and I made a decision to really, really study how the human body worked and how I could really optimize my potential with a healthy lifestyle.
That sounds really good. And now I am here to glean some of those bits of wisdom. So let's begin with something that you mentioned, that it seems like nobody can really avoid it unless somebody really, really lives in the wilderness and is not related to society in any way, and that's glyphosate. Can you talk a little bit about glyphosate, how it leaches into our body, and what we can do about it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a scourge out there today, and it's a real danger. Now, the state of California has stopped spraying it, but 75% of our food supply has glyphosate in it. So if you're eating soybean products, if you're eating corn, if you're eating foods, it has the glyphosate Roundup Ready. If it's a Roundup Ready crop, it has glyphosate baked into it. If you're eating oatmeal, more often than not, it has glyphosate in it. Now, this chemical, unfortunately, increases one's cancer risk by 41%. That's not me trying to scare people. That's a clinical that's been done. All the lymphomas, a lot of the cancers that are coming out that are digestive and blood oriented is because of glyphosate. If you watch TV late at night, you're going to see law firms with an 800 number, that if you've been exposed to this chemical, please call us. Monsanto, which sold to Bayer, they're losing billions in lawsuits because of what this chemical does. Now, the gut microbiome is where all the magic happens. That's your digestive system. If people have celiac, IBS, Crohn's, any type of digestive disorder, more often than not, it's because of glyphosate. Leaky gut, glyphosate. So it's really important that you monitor what you eat, because you cannot remove this chemical just by drinking a green juice or eating fruits and vegetables, because it's really everywhere. And we'll talk about, certain methods of removing it, but it's really important for your family, for your personal health, to really buy organic, verified non-GMO project, because that means that the foods and the raw materials and any products you use are free of that chemical. So you really have to vote and vote with your dollars, if you know what I mean, in terms of protecting your family and your health.
It seems like the US is lagging behind Europe in terms of its acceptance and maintenance of usage of glyphosate, which is very sad. But I would like to say, I was actually pleasantly surprised that you said that glyphosate is in 75% of our food supply. I thought it would be closer to 100. Because let's say I live in Northern California, north of San Francisco. North of me, not much, maybe 10 miles, there are those beautiful farms where they grow everything organic, non-GMO. The cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, the chicken roam. Sounds like an idyllic paradise. So now, but let's look realistically. So let's say a person has this incredible farm. Everything is pure. Everything is amazing. The farm has a certain size and boundary. Around the farm, there could be some other farms that use glyphosate.
Exactly.
Water comes in, the rain comes in, it's going to leach in. So, I would be a little pessimistic maybe, but I would be afraid that even when we only buy organic, we still get some of that.
Absolutely. There's so much cross-contamination. My wife and I, we have a home in Colombia, and one of the biggest crops in Colombia is coca. It's, for cocaine production. And they spray glyphosate heavily in that country. Heavily. Near the banana trees, near all of their exotic fruits. So even when I shop there, I'm thinking about this. So it's not only a U.S. problem, it's less of a European problem, but South America, it's all over the place because of the narcotics and to kill the plant. Ultimately, what you consume on a daily basis, could be your greatest asset or your greatest detriment. So your health is your most precious asset, and most people add lots of liabilities, if you're getting my drift. And buying organic is not safe enough, okay? And what about the feed that they're feeding the cattle and the chickens? And, it's in there too. If they're being fed, that means it's going to get into the animal. That means if you're gonna eat the animal, if you do eat animals. But I've been working on my digestive health my whole life because I had challenges growing up. Jewish American diet, bagels, cream cheese, lox, pizza, standard American diet. And I was always the smelliest one in the room and the most bloated, but I sure could ride a bike fast. And I'm like, wait a second here. Maybe I should start working on my diet a little bit and working on my digestion so I could actually absorb a lot more of the nutrients to recover better and go faster.
And you did.
I did.
It occurred to me when you're talking about Colombia and them growing the coca plant and spraying it heavily with glyphosate. That could be maybe used as a roundabout way to just say no to drugs. Say, hey, listen, you want this coke? You better realize you're going to be sniffing a lot of glyphosate,
You know what? Yeah, that's that's even in it too. When you watch beer commercials and alcohol, it's in all of it. Okay, so people, if you're not drinking organic wine, I personally don't drink wine. I don't drink alcohol. But for people that are drinking wine from XYZ Vineyard, there's glyphosate. So people are adding to their potential of getting cancer. all day and every day. Now, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, Addy, does not run in families. Bad diet and an overload of toxicity runs in families. Really important. So your lifestyle is critical in today's world, okay? Hippocrates said it best: let food be your medicine and medicine be your food. Okay, most people are going to big pharma, for their medicine. I don't call it medicine, I call it poison. It's not going to get to the underlying cause of anything. It's just going to put a Band-Aid on it, and then it's going to go over here and go over there. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, clearly you are already by definition doing something that, you can hear many opinions, many doctors, many studies, this diet, that diet, the other diet is better, no, this is better, no, this is bad and this is good, high fat, low fat, okay, fine. But there's one thing everyone agrees upon, everyone: physical activity is good. No one says that is wrong. I mean, right. Assuming you can do it and your doctor lets you do it and you're not sick, physical activity. So you already come with this base established. You used to be a world-class cyclist. You still are a super high-level, master-level cyclist. You compete and you ride all the time. I remember an experience I had when I met you once, and you brought this lime green bike.
I still have it.
Okay. I couldn't believe how light it was. I didn't realize I could lift it with one finger. And it's not because I'm so strong. It's because the bike was so light. Mm-hmm. But you already come in, baked in, doing something we should all be doing. You ride your bike a lot. You are in tremendous physical shape and cardiovascular shape. Mm-hmm. But the rest of us need to incorporate that into our life.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you're born with this amazing machine, which is your body. If you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live, okay? It's not a really great place to live when you have declining health because of recreational habits. Recreational habits turn into recreational diseases, folks. Bottom line, you really got to pay attention to what you put in your body. An Advil, a Tylenol, a Zantac, all of those things don't get to the underlying cause. When you're experiencing discomfort, it's your body saying, you know what, maybe you should stop doing this. Maybe you should stop doing this. So for me, I'm really passionate about waking people up to their potential, because everyone I see is potential walking around. They just give in to the weakness of going to Starbucks and going to Papa John's Pizza and going to all these places where they're getting empty calories. They're stressing out their organ systems. Because listen, everybody listen. Your body is hundreds of thousands of years old. Okay, look what's changed in the past 150 years. So cancer, heart disease, diabetes, and other diseases are going to continue to increase because fast food nation is going to get you faster in the ground.
Ian, in what you do, you come across a lot of people. In a cultural sense, do you think that we as a culture are becoming more health conscious or less so? What do you see in general?
Actually, there's a crescendo happening. Okay, there is a consciousness. I mean, Whole Foods didn't exist in terms of the way it does, today. 25, 30 years ago, it was just a mom and pop operation, and then of course they went public onto bigger and better things. But I think that there is a high level of consciousness, and the fast food companies, the big corporations are really freaked out about this because they're actually, for the first time, they're losing market share. Pharmaceutical industries are losing market share. I mean, that's the biggest cartel on the planet, okay, which is the pharmaceutical industry. So I believe that the consciousness is really, really happening, and that's the biggest threat to the status quo, if you know what I mean.
Okay, let's go back and visit glyphosate. So every single one of us, I think even the ones who try the hardest to eat very clean, will likely have glyphosate in our body. So what can we do about it?
There's a lot that you can do about it. Of course, the foods that you buy, you can't wash this off. Okay, so that's the thing. If you're eating, sometimes it's just in it and it's hard. So there are a number of ingredients that are on the market today that you could remove it, like fulvic acid, humic acid, good quality probiotics to rehabilitate the gut microbiome, and also have those two ingredients that I just shared to actually, help chelate it out of your system. So there is a solution to the pollution. And of course, other superfoods, like I'm a big fan of chlorella, which is very available, out and about in health food stores. That's also a chelator of heavy metals and toxicity. So you really got to aid your body in its ability to cleanse and detox. I mean, listen, your liver regenerates every 90 days. You got a brand new liver. But most people they're abusing it all day and every day, so it's never going to really have a chance to live the right way. So if you really want to remove this chemical, there are ways to do it, but you got to be disciplined. And my coach taught me this years ago. You'll find your freedom within your discipline. If you're disciplined with your health, more often than not, you'll be freer to have the life that you want to live. And I could say the opposite. If you're not disciplined, you're going to be miserable. And who wants to be miserable?
It occurs to me that we need to have a podcast, interview with an expert about discipline, because that's in every facet of our lives. And discipline becomes harder and harder as we are bombarded much more than ever with information very quick, and all these media outlets, the social media outlets, everybody gets bombarded. It's so much easier to say, oh, that's interesting. Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this, than to actually be in the center and be disciplined. So humic acid, fulvic acid, chlorella. Now, sometimes when people are not clean, inside, like let's say somebody has a lot of glyphosate plus all kinds of other bad stuff, if they detox it, if they go on a cleanse or something of that sort, I think they need to monitor the speed at which they clear it out, because the body could show many very adverse reactions to What do you think about that?
Yeah, I like those adverse reactions. They're healing crisis. They're Herxheimer events, and they're a blessing. Some are not comfortable, whether it be breaking out of the skin, nausea, bowel evacuations, headaches. Those are all things that the body does to cleanse itself at a cellular level. Now, I know, when we met over 10 years ago, you did a cleanse, and it was quite remarkable. The weight loss is a byproduct of one giving the body a rest. So if one decides to do a cleanse, it's really important that you research it thoroughly and you really understand what you're getting involved with, because cleansing is a sport. And if you want to win the sport, you got to make sure you know the game that you're playing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, so eating veggies, eating fruit, we've been hearing most of our lives, actually, we should have so many servings of veggies, so many servings of fruit.
Yeah.
Now, when I was a kid, servings of veggies and fruit were pretty much good for you, but today it has to be organic, non-GMO. It has to be clean. It has to be special. Now, some people in the area that I live, we are blessed to have, and many areas have that, farmers markets, and like you said, Whole Foods and Sprouts did not exist a little while ago. We have all of that now, which is nice. Where I live, we can even go to the farm, and the kids can see. Okay, but a lot of people may live in a big city. They may live in a place, or actually more like it, a very small place where there's not going to be a Whole Foods, or even a big city where Whole Foods didn't deem it worthwhile to have one. They have no farmers market. They have a much bigger difficulty in getting access to clean fruits and vegetables. What can they do?
I think they're going to starve. I'm kidding. There's actually a lot of ways to get your micronutrients. Since I was younger, I I've been ingesting, the finest of like organic superfoods. There are elements like spirulina, for example, which has been on the planet for 3.5 billion years. The Aztecs, the Incas, a lot of the indigenous peoples ate it because it had a lot of nutrients. It's like the multivitamin green food, very high in chlorophyll. It's just magical for the body. So I tend to embrace that aspect because if you take a Centrum vitamin, a New Chapter vitamin, a Now vitamin, all these manufacturers, they're isolated nutrients, and your body is not going to really assimilate them. Whereas food, you assimilate. Let food be your medicine, medicine be your food, not a vitamin tablet. Now, if you were taking like superfood concentrates in a capsule, that's admissible in my book. But I like using this word. There's a plethora of superfoods out there.
Oh, I like that.
Just love to bathe your body. Like, for example, like there's a cherry called Mount Morency tart cherries. They grow.
Can you say it a little slower? A little slower.
Yeah, the Mount Morency tart cherry. And the Mount Morency tart cherry, you could Google this. It has naturally occurring melatonin. So instead of going to Walmart or Whole Foods, CVS, and buying melatonin, you could get it in the apothecary, and your body's going to be like, oh, wow, that's just the right amount that I need, which is going to give, you the best sleep ever. I've been using it for years. It also reduces inflammation. It has 3 phytonutrients in it, naturally occurring. It's not me saying that, but it's lethal to cancer cells. So it keeps those at check. And it gives you 9 servings of fruit on a daily basis in 2 tablespoons. So if you're not getting the fruit, you're going to get it in 2 tablespoons.
So basically, in this case, you said tart cherries of a certain kind.
Yes.
Again, assuming they grew organically and non-GMO and all that good stuff, can provide a lot of, in a way, almost a replacement for a serving or 2 or 5 of fruit. I mean, I assume the same exists for veggies, right?
Oh, yeah. It's 5 to 9 servings. And I have, bananas and avocados and dates, and I like eating those. But when it comes to my veggies, I get a lot of my greens from my super nutrient dense superfoods. I think it's essential in today's world to get your micronutrients in a supplemental form because of the way things are grown today. So, when I learned about the cherry, and this is over 20 years ago, Addy, I've been taking, Mount Morency tart cherries. I've been using spirulina and chlorella and, sea algae for a long time, and, when people say, oh, Ian, and I'm not giving myself a compliment, they say, you know what, you look great. I get, I'm going to be 55 this year. I'm going to be closer to 60 than I am 50. And when you're giving your body the nutrients at a cellular level, you're really starting to alter your epigenetics, if you know what I mean. It's like I had a full gray head of hair, and now look, because of spirulina. Ha ha, I'm just kidding.
Okay. Stay tuned for part 2 of this interview. Thank you for joining us today. I know you love what's coming next in part 2. Be sure to click the subscribe button for more videos.